Hey, this is Russell Morris. This is Reading in Exile, where we go around the library, pull a book off the shelf or stack of books and talk about them. But today I want to answer a question that one of you asked in the comments, I think on Instagram, asking about, I mentioned reading in community in one of these posts and wanted me to talk more about that. I think that when most people think of reading in community, what they think of is kind of the book club, the Finer Things Club on The Office, where they sit around and talk about E.M. Forster novels or put on Irish clothing and talk about Angela's Ashes or whatever. That's not really what I mean. Although, I mean, you may have book clubs of various kinds, and that's good. I think that's good. What I mean by reading in community is taking the opportunity to, when you can, find some people who've got common, not necessarily common interests, but common questions, and who can bring those questions together. So one of the things I think I've mentioned on here that's been true for me during this time of social distancing, although in many ways this has been a good, apart from all the awful stuff in the world, just personally here, it's been good in terms of my own life and walk with God. But one of the things that's not is I have a group of friends. We gather together and read through T.S. Eliot's Four Quartets and talk about each of them. And I have missed that to the point that one of the members of the group texted me and said, "Is it just me, or am I just really missing T.S. Eliot?" It's not just you. I am too. And here's why I think. Some of that is because of the nature of what it is that we're reading. Eliot is dealing with, especially in the Four Quartets. We'll talk about this more when we do Four Quartets on Reading in Exile. But those core issues of time and the transitory nature of life and suffering and all of those things. Maybe that's why, I mean, three or four of us in that group are kind of melancholy Enneagram 4s. So you can see why we would be drawn to that. But also just because I think there's something about being together that helps you understand the text more. Because there are times when, as I'm rereading through Four Quartets, where I'll say, you get to a line and say, this is the place where Ian said that it brought to mind this, or Ben said it brought to mind that, or whatever. It helps you understand whatever it is that you're reading more. It slows you down in reading it. So there are sometimes people who they'll get a group together in terms of reading, and it's all kind of competitive and like a doctoral seminar where you feel like you have to prep up to be able to bring some. Then that's not worth doing. Don't get with a group where that's the case. But where you're really coming in and saying, here are the things that came to mind as I was reading this, and here's what I'm struggling with, and that's well worth doing. But also not just in terms of what you're reading, but also in terms of getting to know each other and to deepen those human connections. So there's some of you may say that you don't like T.S. Eliot, or you don't like poetry, or you don't think you could understand it. You can, I promise you. But if you don't want to, great. Get together and read. You can read Green Eggs and Ham and whatever. And you can find the sort of connection, because one of the reasons is because it's hard in a time like now that's so busy and frantic, and everybody's pulled in various ways. It's hard to sort of make time for other people. It's hard also to sort of concentrate what that time is like. So, I mean, it reminds me of one of the great words of advice that someone gave to me when my boys were little about having the talk about the birds and the bees. One of the talks is to do it while you're driving. and to talk to them about it while you're driving a car, because you're not sort of awkwardly sitting there looking at each other. You're both sort of looking out and driving along. It takes some of the edge off. Well, I think that's true with a lot of things. You get involved in a common you're looking at the same thing together, like C.S. Lewis talked about, friends side by side looking at something. Reading together can do that. And something about being imaginatively together in a text helps to create a sort of personal interaction in a way that other things just don't. And so it's hard sometimes to find a group of people to read together with. But if you do, then I would say prioritize that. And I can't wait until we can start our group back up. And as a matter of fact, the more I think of it, the more I think maybe we should do a Zoom or some other filmed roundtable on 4 quartets. And so I'll throw that out to the other guys in the group and see if y'all want to do it. But if not, when the days of plague are over, I'm ready to head back to Little Gidding. So this is Russell Moore. This is Reading in Exile. Let me know in the comments what you would like for us to talk about next time.